Good morning, namaskar, namaste to everybody. Uh, Today is a World CSR Day. It's a very important aspect in our life and the journey in life that we talk about something in the name of CSR, Corporate Social Responsibility, connecting corporate with society. I'm introduced as a person running an organization. I would love to be introduced as a teacher. I've been teaching more than 40 years, management basically, but just a little bit of background is needed. In our country, and of course in the world, the movement of values in the learning process and education wasn't formally introduced prior to 1992. We took the initiative at the Indian Institute of Management, Kolkata, Joka. As a teacher, we had the right to do something new. So some of us combined were ahead of the society and others, and of course ridiculed by others and the society on having introduced the teaching on values, divine values for human purpose, particularly for the corporations, and of course awareness of the societies. That was denied by the majority in the boards, in the faculty, and not really rejected by the students, but accepted more or less 50-50. Others did not. But the journey could not be put a halt by the forces which were not positive in that. By 1996, we found that yes, we could start off a center, and that was the first in the kind of in our continent, Asia, in India, of course. And by 1998, education system of our government, meaning controlled by our government, had recognized values and ethics as a component of learning and teaching in almost all areas. 2002, during Atal Bihary's government, they had introduced it in the formal curriculum, and some of the universities like University of Mumbai, of course first was University of Calcutta, then Mumbai, then Madras, they initiated in their programs. Later on, almost all institutions in the country and in many other places, by 2005 you will find it's globalized. One company, I was, connected with, having their regional headquarters in Frankfurt. They had introduced a department. You might be knowing of Carl Skuzland, who had introduced the Department of Ethics, first time in the country and first time in the continent, first time in the corporate context in the world, Levi-Strauss. And see, now probably each company is having a, some kind of association with ethics and values in their functioning. CSR, you know the journey of CSR as a concept and practice. It had first evolved from Texas. I am involved, associated with many universities in Texas region, particularly in Dallas. It was the first, and then Austin had taken it forward. The corporate combination in the social process was first initiated by C4, and that was a kind of formal induction in Texas, Austin. But later on, it's widespread. Harvard, Kellogg, everybody is having 2005 onwards, it's more or less a, universal thing along with ethics and values. So, I don't think that CSR should remain as C, it should be SR. Or you can tell that HSR, human social responsibility. Let's look at our ancient Indian civilization. The timing of that, some of the European scholars have put it as 5,000 years old, which is not a fact. Now, scholars across, just, a few months back, we had a program in London, and there I had a detailed discussion with some group of people in a conference and a seminar. And there we made it a point, and this is also in our several publications, that the Vedic civilization dates back to almost 15,000 to 20,000 periods before the current period. And that's the time when the sages used to do their, works of life and focus on the aspects of life. Now, what are the fundamentals in that? I'll talk about first the concept of indebtedness that they had. There's a concept called Panch Varin. Panch is 5, Varin is debt. Panch Varin is 5-fold debt system. I had elaborated that upon in one of my books published 1994, Mother Leadership. The details of that, and we took the idea across many places, many universities in the United States, many universities in Europe and Asian region as well, also in South Africa. The concept was that you are, as a human being, indebted to 5 different, greater sources. You've got a Devarin, indebtedness to the gods. You've got a Rishirin, your indebtedness to the sages. Sages are those people who have earned their own intellect and knowledge through their own practice, swadhyaya, meaning self-learning process. You've got a, Nuririn, you are indebted to everybody except yourself. You're indebted to all on earth. Nuririn is your indebtedness to human being at large. The dress that we wear, we have not made it. The food that we eat, we don't do everything for that. Maybe bits and pieces we could do. Adam Smith wrote in his Wealth of Nations that, the branching of activities are needed. Why? Because one person cannot do everything for himself or herself. Initially, he had a thought that human being is an animal. And so much so that he mentioned in his Wealth of Nations in the beginning that animals, not only animals with a bargaining power. And it compared with 4 different species of the dogs. Compared human being with 4 different species of dogs. That's what is the inheritance of our economic thoughts in the modern world. Adam Smith. The shepherd, the 4 different major categories of dogs. And he said added factor was the bargaining power. So the categorization was very important. But all these are there in the pool of knowledge that you have earned as a modern society or a human society. So you are indebted to anybody and everybody. Why? Because when I have learned mathematics, when I've learned the fundamentals of language, when you have learned anything from anywhere, any source in the world, you've actually learned something which is a contribution of all and sundry or many. So you should be open in your mind that you are indebted to all. So that's known as the Nuririn. We have a Piturin. Now the medical science has come to a understanding that genealogy is a determining factor. Genetic science understands that you have an inheritance. Whoever you are, wherever you are in the world, whether you accept your parents as your duty to your parents or not, in a modern society there is a denial. There is a tendency, and a very widespread tendency, what Shasha has mentioned. I'll tell you a fact of my association with a good friend of mine in Stockholm. I was there for a, postdoc long back, almost 25 years ago. So, I was there with my friend. Meaning, the university gave me a place to stay. There's a beautiful place like a 5-star hotel inside the campus of Stockholm University, Hagagatan. But then Gustafsson said that, okay, you need to stay with me at my house. I thought that, yes, should be a family, so we'll have and the first time visiting the place. So then I went there, and then he said, yes, I have given an invitation. I said, to whom? I've given an invitation to my daughter. I said, oh, acha, where is she? No, actually, she stays with her. Meaning, she stays in a place which is close by, her mother. I said, oh, but then I know meaning his wife, I'm not naming because she belongs to a very famous, family of the telecom, meaning one of the largest, a major shareholder of one of the largest, telecom producer in the world, having ownership of an island and a part of the Swedish territory also. So then I found that he's alone. So he was thinking that if my friend could stay sometime, because it's a long period that you have to do the research. So that's the fact of the thing. But they have an occasional meet, meaning his daughter to the previous wife and her son to previous husband. All this. There is a mixed kind of complex scenario, but then they can manage. So this is the reality, meaning there are small reasons for which the breakups happen. And this happening, come what may, the Pitrurin, meaning your indebtedness to the lineage is undeniable. I was having a talk with Siddharth Mukherjee, a very famous genealogist in the United States, and the author of this, the study on the gene for the cancer treatment, they're doing. So he said that the amazing results are coming when I try to find out the chromosome numbers of 23, how does it come? And why it's so that everybody on earth who has, whether male and female, everybody for the first few weeks, at least 4 weeks, if not more, and the minimum period is 2 weeks, the identity of the person is a lady. Everybody is originally lady. And then, the Y chromosomes develop. So there are factors. Most of the factors are non-material in content, meaning the factors are wish-driven factors, meaning non-material. So your indebtedness to the paternal identity is very important. And then the most important thing the sages had discovered is a bhutarin, your indebtedness to the subhuman species, the plants, the animals, the ants, insects, anything and everything except the human as a species you are indebted to. They are serving the entire cosmic system. The sages have said, you need to have a bent of mind, a orientation of mind. It cannot be made to happen all of a sudden through a training process. Yah devaha apsuhu, yah agnihi, yah asya bhuvaneshya, yah aushodhishu banaspatishu, tasmai devayo namo namaha. That's what was a kind of attitude towards the nature. The meaning of this is they used to consider that these trees, halves, shafts, the entire, the greens, the entire plant kingdom, they're my gods. So what do? I worship them. If I worship a tree in my mind, you don't have to worship that like in a temple, you are coming with flowers and everything, you offer that, flowers, sweets, everything you are offering. It's not like that. You should have the mint of mind wherein you are, in a material fact, you are actually tuned to have a strong sense of respect, regard, and caring for that. Animal kingdom, the small insects, we are all killers. Yes, Shasha, I support you. Like, there is a study going on now in one of the IITs. There's a less known IIT, later born IIT. But they're doing a very remarkable research of the 5G causing killing in the, the flying system. The particular varieties of flies, bats. The moment the 5G has been introduced, the number is reduced. I'll tell you one incident. Kolkata has got a zoo, very old. It's a 200 years old zoo, zoological garden. It's known as a, Kolkata zoo is very famous, but small, not very large, but famous for certain things. Every winter, it used to have flying bats. Bats used to come from Siberian region of Russia. And I am personal witness in our early days, we have seen what a fabulous kind of things. Thousands of bats have flown from the Siberian region to the place, and they are so, uniquely directed that they come. Last 10 years, the number started getting reduced. This year, meaning this winter, I had an interest, so I had inquired about the effect, and then I didn't go, but then I had asked I know the people, so I had asked them, what's happening this year? The birds have come, then I'll go. Then he said, no, this year only a few have come, several hundred, but probably these are not from the Siberian region, because it's a different kind of birds. These have come maybe from some part of India. These are not those kind of flying birds who have fled such a long distance and come here. Why? Because there was a climatic pull for them. And they used to enjoy the time here, take some fresh air, take some air here, and then used to go back after almost staying a period of 2 months. Almost a couple of months they used to stay there. They are not staying. They are not coming. They can sense that you are the killers. You have killed our, species. You have killed many of our fellow species. You have killed many of the small insects. You have killed many of the species which are there in the soil. You have used the soil, hormones. And the soil hormones are the killers not for you, us only, but for you as well. You will find the recurrence of cancer is very high. A recent study is showing that the fact is emerging, fabulous. Like, you are a chicken eater, you are a mutton eater, you are a, fish eater. Among these three, fish eater, you are a better person. Chicken eater, it's all in the, laboratory, chemically processed, so you have a problem, but the problem is not that kind of acute as a problem of creating cancers. Are you a vegetarian? More green, more fresh, more, flowery, be careful about. Because a lot of, certain kind of hormones have gone into that, which are actually having the power to sustain, to remain in your digestive tract, and it has got a power to, get into the complex combination of chemical reaction to come into the phase of a complex chemical formation, wherein it can become a killer element and the cancerous element more than others. I'm not saying it is dangerous to be vegetarian, I'm saying you should be careful. So what's happening is the modern living, but then there is a demand. Many of my students are there in many countries, and I find when they marry, they are in a problem. Somebody is there in Philadelphia, and the wife has got a job, which is 1 hour, train journey from there. Person is having, staying in New York, and the other half is there in the city nearby. There could be some places where the flying time is 2.5 hours, 3 hours, 2 hours, 1.5 hours. Is a demand of your, modern living. Because of what? Our desire to live. We think this is a living better. We think living better is living with more gadgets, with more things, with more provisions, with more money across. So this is the fundamental problem which the sages had discovered 20,000 years ago in India. And the mantra that was there, it was said, Yatah vai imani vutani jayante yena jitani jivanti yat prana pravishanti tad brahman. You are all equal. Therefore, what you have to do is, you need to visualize the fact. That's possible only when you come back to yourself through your Panchabayu and Panchakosh sadhan. Otherwise, you cannot have. You can have only the theoretical, words. You cannot have the realization. If you need to have the realization, you need to sit back, you need to have that meditation, you need to get back to yourself. Atmana vidhi, atmana moksha arthanang jagat hitaya cha. You know yourself. That was coined by Socrates long afterwards during his period. Nati Shyatan. Nati Shyatan is know yourself. Know thyself. Atmana vidhi is a Rigvedic, mantra. It is not a mantra. The sages is to have the lives lived in a context. What is the context? It is a context which is fully contained by the nature. Nature is a mother. Art is what? Your mother. Mother Earth. Dharitri Mataha. Dharitri is your mother. You have the Panchbhut, the 5 different elemental existence of this cosmic system. Shriti, Apaha, Tejaha, Maruta, Bom. Shriti is your Dharitri, this landmass, the earth. Apaha is your water. Take care of the soil, take care of water. Teja, Agni. Don't burn it out. Now, after Stephen Hawking's, the scientists have come to an understanding very recently, just 2018. Roger Penrose is awarded Nobel Prize on the theme which he had worked in the 90s, late 90s, on the final condition of the black holes. And in that, Roger Penrose has identified that black holes are not black because of their colorless. It's not a fact that they don't have mass. But they have a mass in a particular condition which is covered by a atmosphere which is a non-atmosphere in our sense of the term. The atmosphere is something which has got a one-way down, meaning it's a kind of atmospheric valve. The energies, the masses, they penetrate down, they can't, go out. The centrifugal forces do not work there. Only the centripetal forces work because it's covered by enormous amount of exit barriers to the centrifugal forces. So those who understand science, you understand better that the centrifugal forces, unless they are made to walk or allowed to walk, they can't exit. Satellites exit because they have got a exit velocity, and without that they cannot exit. So the point is, our sages in the ancient period, they had said that it's the Brahman, the Supreme, God the Supreme. He's staying within your cave of the heart. How? Connect it with that. How do you? And just, I'm coming to end another 2.5, 3 minutes maximum. Yeah. Yeah. Then saying, Atmana rathinam vidhi shariram ratham evatuhu buddhi tu sarathi vidhi manaha pragraham evacha. Atman, the Supreme Self is residing in the cave of your heart. You have to discover that. This discovery is never possible through words. This you have to get back to yourself through the process of interiorization. It is not just internalization, it is interiorization. Interiorization is a process where you take your consciousness down to yourself, and then you realize it takes a long period, sometimes several decades, sometimes years, sometimes quicker than that. So, and the body is like a chariot. The chariot is driven by our, formal intellect, which is an external intellect, externally guided things. And we think the things around is the reality only. It's not. The things that we consider as reality is a momentary reality, is a transient reality. The reality that exists, it exists undiscovered, and the moment we find, that's why the sages have mentioned that apabrinu, meaning you unfold the truth of yourself. You try to unfold. How do you unfold? You get back to yourself, and then you'll find everybody is equal. Samanivo akutihi samana samani hridayani vaha. You have the eagerness, you have the, orientation of your heart, the same as others. See, everybody's heart is the equal, same. Sam gachudvang, sam vadudvang, sam bhumanamsi janatam, devavagi yatha purvi, sam jananaha upasate. You try to connect your minds, it's all equal. So consider everybody as equal to yourself. And you try to establish the equality on earth. The equality, fraternity, and freedom. These three were the fundamental, calls given by the sages in the Vedic period to almost 20,000 years ago. And the revelation of that was found in the Harappan and Mohenjo-daro excavations. The detailed analysis have come up last almost 30 years now. So I have already come to an end of my talks. What I find is corporate social responsibility should transform itself. Until today, it's a corporate social responsibility. Let's make it a human social responsibility. And let's not just depend on companies, because companies are using the corporate social responsibility for a business purpose, which is bad. Companies are taking this CSR as a kind of investment, and that investment, they are actually trying to get, some advantage from the respective governments and international bodies. This is not fair. If you think that you have a responsibility, come out and you do something irrespective of what is there available in the reciprocal thing is the reciprocity. A love which demands reciprocity is a commerce. If you think that you've got a love for the society, don't go for the reciprocity. You take it on the pure love which does not depend on any or expect any return because of its own existence. Thank you so much.